Okay, everybody's getting on board. It's wonderful to see everyone here. We are just doing this now, actually online only. Nautica, such a fabulous event at the Cosmic Center this weekend with the Hertax. Absolutely. I wanted to talk a little bit about it. And that is the reason why I chose about the Gnostic Gospels, because Dr. J.J. Hertak, his wife, Desiree Hertak, and Ellen Steinfeld had an event at the Cosmic Center. And for those of you that are not local, the Cosmic Center is actually, we do have a center, physical building in Sarasota, Florida. And we are not doing it right now at the Cosmic Center because we do have severe weather notifications that are taking place, a lot of wind, and it could possibly very heavy rains. So we also have a farmer's market on Sunday mornings as well. So that has also been canceled, for the safety of everybody. So first of all, I want to just start off with a prayer, and then we'll get into the discussion, which the discussion I want to be talking about is the Gnostic Gospels. Today, usually, Reverend Annie is doing this particular Sunday, but we have swapped. Whenever there is a fifth Sunday, I do the fifth Sunday in addition to the Open Heart Divine Healing Service. And Reverend Annie does, was it the third Sunday? But she's in Italy on business right now. So I'm doing this service instead. And for those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Reverend Sharon Elizabeth, also known as Baba Sharone. And I also do the Anchoring Light transmission meditation every Monday without fail. And that is at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this has been happening every Monday without fail for over 14 years. So the center itself was discussed. Actually, we'll have a video about it by Dr. J.J. Hertak, famous for the Keys of Enoch, that the Cosmic Center is described in the Keys of Enoch as a center is called the House of Instruction, and very profound. That we are all coming together as the family of light to move forward in creating the new earth, the new golden age. We're part and parcel for that to happen. We are still in a world of duality, so there's choices, and that's what the Gnostic Gospels talk a lot about. So a lot of people say, where do you get this information, or where we use the names of God, and where does that come from? Well, its sources, many of which is rooted in the Gnostic Gospels. So before we get started into that, I want to share my screen. And I'm going to start off with this prayer. And this was something called Singing with the Seraphim. And we want to just start with the intention of why we are here gathered together. And let's call in the Seraphim, because the Seraphim energy is very much present now. Not only myself was picking it up, and just had an experience with it, but many other people too. That says a lot that the Seraphim presence is here, because the Seraphim was very part and parcel of the very beginnings of this creation. And in the Old Testament, and really all ancient writings, they are referred to as being a part of this creation and the dynamics that took place in this creation. So the fact that their energy is around again is quite significant. They are said to be one of the highest angels, and they sing around the throne being a very high aeon, one of the highest aeons actually, and where the living crown is, where you would say Yod He Vod He, the El Elyon, the King of Kings, resides, the Divine Mother, Divine Father, and His highest attribution is on the throne level, and that's where these angels are. So what we're going to do to start off this service is we're going to say these prayers here, and we're going to start off with this the prelude. Through the office of the Christ, working through Metatron and Melchizedek, the incarnate children of light upon the earth have an opportunity to form communities of the living light and are dedicated to El Elyon, the Most High God. So in its absolute source, we are gathered here as the children of light. And we are here to come together because we have a mission and we have a purpose, particularly in this timeline, in these times right now, which are very, very pivotal, and which Dr. Hurtak had alluded to, and his wife, Dr. Desiree Hurtak. So let's say together. I will say, let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity, okay, which is a Templar prayer, by the way. And if you would say, be in this place now, and I will also do Ea Asha Ea, which means I am that I am. It is the oldest name of God in the Judeo-Christian records. So as minister, I will say, and then as a congregation, you follow it. And we're going to do this 12 times. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Let love and light, peace and harmony, joy and charity. Ea Asha Ea. 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 And now, as we use the sacred names of God, and I'll talk a little bit about the power of that, I want to start off by saying that we are honored and grateful that we can use our voices to say these sounds. It must understand that sound is powerful and sound creates. Even in our Bible in Genesis, it says, and then there was the word, meaning sound. And that's where the mantras come from. That's where the Tibetans, and you hear that certain harmonics that they create with their voices why there's repetitions of certain sounds over and over again. Okay, even in the Western world, you have the rosary where prayers are repeated over and over again. And that is because sound has great power. And the words, the names of God that we use, now we use it in Hebrew. Hebrew is simply one of five sacred languages on this planet. The others are Sanskrit, Tibetan, Chinese, and Egyptian, and meaning that these languages came from the higher realms to the earth. It did not originate from the earth. And in many of the writings, there's this higher level of the writing. Sometimes there's little dots or little squigglies, or one side is higher than the other, meaning in the ancient, many of the of things have been lost throughout time, but the core essence of it, that original language, was to show the higher light or the higher light language coming in. So that is why we use one of those five languages. And of course, Hebrew is just easier for the Western mind. But what we're going to do now, we're going to say Yod He Vod He together a couple of times, all right, which is the ineffable name. And we'll start with this prayer. O divine eternal Father, let's all say it together. You who have written your law upon our hearts and given your name, Yod He Vod He, to be written upon our foreheads. You have also given the sacred letters of your divine code for every cell of our being. Let us awaken to your promise of new being. In this glorious awakening, we have your assurance that we will be transformed cell by cell back into the light as Jesus demonstrated. We affirm that within every organ of our body is your God code, your indwelling power of the light, O Yod He Vod He. And I'll start as cantor. I'll say it a couple of times, and then you will also say it. Yod He Vod He. 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 Okay, I will stop sharing my screen now. So I want to tell you, first of all, a little bit about the power of the sacred names. So I use these sacred names a lot and have been for the past several years. They are transformative when you make a practice of them. And I want to first start off, by the way, that we are going to be Kim Converse, who has studied with the Hertax for over 30 years and is one of the teachers at the Cosmic Center, will be doing a class starting February 9th. And it is opened back up again. There was a class going on actually for the past year, but it was closed because it was, you had to start from the beginning, and it was a year-long class. So that was with the highest Sephiroth study. But all of these studies integrate the names of God. And Dr. Hertak, for those of you that were there yesterday that were able to participate, you know, he did the names of God, and he did it with such power with his voice, because when you do it with, you know, a certain amount of emotion and power, it is that's where the idea of open sesame comes from. That's how Moses parted the Red Sea. It is sound, because really everything is frequency. And so if you know the right sounds, you're able to recapitulate many different things. So without getting too much into that, just knowing that sound, sound can break glass. If you have that pitch, it could shatter glass. So just want to be aware when we utter these sounds from our voice, and just to say something that's so profound, you know, there is, of course, um, our creation and what we're part of is beyond description. It's just gargantuan. We can't even wrap our minds about it. But in all of that creation and creations, okay, is that our voice is unique to us. We have, each of us, if we were to see ourselves on higher vibrations, which is why in higher levels they can identify who we are. You know, we come as colors, and we come as tones, we come as these harmonics that are very identifiable. We come at some point, we're orbs, we're geometries. So we're so much more than just these little physical body wraps that we are experiencing. This level of creation, you know, in this biology that we find ourselves in, along with the emotional and also the mental bodies, which is very constricted to this, if you want to say, you know, 3D matrix that we find ourselves in. And again, when we go a little bit into the Gnostic Gospels, that's their message. That is their message, so loud and clear. It's just saying, hey, there are other realities out there. And of course, even in the Gospels, the ones that the Council of Nicaea permitted to have, even they do talk about Jesus the Christ said, "My Father has many mansions." He has eluded in the very constrictive liturgy and gospel that's been, you know, on some levels manipulated, so it's not in its purest form, but that does say that clearly this is not the kingdom. There is a higher kingdom that's involved. And the Gnostic Gospels absolutely go very deeply into that. But I wanted to share, um, about the power of the names of God. So I want to say too, there's many of us, you know, that we're working in this world, of course, and we're here to make a difference, to help with the ascension. Okay, we know that innately that something's not right with the world from early on, and that what can we do to correct it? And we don't fall into the story that, well, that's just the way it is and the way it's always going to be. There's some part of it that says no. There's some part that we know that we can bring this to a higher level of where this, yes, there can be peace on earth. Okay, as I'm saying, oh, that's not possible. Yes, it is. In other worlds, there is peace. Absolutely, there is in the Shambhala worlds. So we're trying to get our planet. We're here for whatever reason that we are here to assist in our own way, that only we can do it, in the raising of the vibration, okay, of the planet, which is what um, uh, uh, integrated with the consciousness of the human kingdom, which that one is like really kind of messed up, you go along with the animal kingdom and the mineral kingdom and the plant kingdom. So the top of the line over here is the human kingdom. And so that's where we have a lot of our problems, in that the lower animal body, the passions and all of that can be manipulated, and many times definitely, and most of the times I will say manipulated by higher forces to keep us in a lower vibration. And therefore, we're in a lower vibration. So is our planet. And the Gnostic Gospel goes into the fall and why that happened. I'll talk a little bit about the Pistis Sophia and so forth. But just again, as a reminder, we're going to have a class. Okay, just go on our website. It's going to be on there fairly soon. We did make the announcement yesterday that you will be able to study the keys of Enoch. It'll be key 405, and Kim, our beautiful Kim Converse, will be doing that class. The first time will be in person, but after that is going to be on Zoom. So anybody anywhere will be able to participate. And I recommend that you do. It's a very powerful teaching. It's a capstone teaching. So getting back to the names of God, I find myself working on higher levels, and many of us are going to be consciously aware that we are working on higher levels. I know all of you, sometimes you supposedly get a good night's sleep and you wake up, you're tired. It's because you're doing work on other levels, because that's how powerful that you are. There's other parts of yourself, what I call the higher parts of yourself, that, many people coming into this world of Maya, the world of illusion, okay, is not even aware they have a higher self. And there's even beyond that, that our chakra system goes not only into the physical body, emotional and mental, but all the way up to higher aeons. Okay, so when we can adjust to that and, remove the distortions and the miscreations and the blockages, we have a clear channel. And so many times what has to happen is the mind or body just has to go to sleep. So the true selves that many of us, we may not regain or retain the memory of our experiences, but I mean, just flying, like you could say, easily remote viewing and doing so many different things. So we have this ability, many of us are called, whether you're conscious of it or not, to work on other levels. So I have come to discover that I'm being called to work on the astral level, and in some capacity, I'm there to help clean it up. So I will just tell you this one dynamic. I had a dream. I've had more than one like this, but I'm just going to talk about one. And in this dream experience, I find myself, I know I'm on the astral plane. It isn't a place that I say, hey, let me hang out on the astral plane, the lower astral plane. But I recognize I'm there because, long story short, there's a group of, like, I would say, what you would perceive to be a gang, like, and I find myself there, they recognize me. There's more steps to the dream, but I'm making it really short. And so, I'm surrounded by them. One of them takes me actually by my hand, and I can feel like claws. I can feel the sensation of claws and bringing me to the head honcho. Well, of course, these are probably, your demons that are out there. And they are like, okay, they're like this. They're like, oh, look what we got. Look what we got. Boy, we're going to get her. But I started to say, Yod Hey, Vod Hey. And I said it with such passion. It just came out like so strong in this dream experience, which is, I don't even say the words dream, this altered experience, I prefer to say. And I just said it with passion. And that name, okay, next thing I know, in the dream, everybody is nice and smiling and friendly. And the main guy was like, hey, we need to get together. Let's have lunch one day. Like, yeah, sure, let's do that. So we were all friends at the end of this. And I've had other dream type experience where something was negative and was able to use the names of God in these altered states, using the names of God, and change the situation into light as opposed to dark. So I don't have memory of it all the time, but there are a few times I'm able to recall the memory. So that's how powerful, these names of God are. And so when we say it, we want to say it with great honor that we can even utter these sounds. So I'm going to talk now a little bit about the Gnostic Gospels. And first of all, the one thing I want to tell you where you could get information is gnosis.org, GNOSIS.org. And that is such a wonderful website. Let me put www.gnosis.org and enter. Okay, that's it. So have that as a resource to go to. And they have a lot you could read, but also there's many that is now finally on YouTube where somebody is reading it or giving an explanation of it. And one of the Gnostic Gospels that I'm sure that many of you have never even heard of, I know you're seeing it sort of, the opposite way, but it's called the Gospel of the Prophet Manny. Now, this is so interesting how this particular gospel got to me even before I knew about gnosis.org, but it was this whole time where I started studying the Pistis Sophia, the Gospel of Mary, and of course, many of us are aware of the Nag Hammadi. Okay, that's where these gospels have come from. Also, the Dead Sea Scrolls, okay, were found, and they're still finding some gospels. These gospels were hidden, and but I want to just kind of tell you a little bit about this particular one. So in the beginning of it, I'm not sure if it was, I think it was rather, I think it was in the gnosis.org. There was one of the disciples of Manny. First of all, who's Manny? Who's this guy? Well, how this all happened is that someone had told me, who I respect very much, many years ago, said that I was a Manikin. And I'm like, a Manikin? What is a Manikin? And that is a word that we do use. Um, um, a Manikin basically is bringing light to darkness. And I wasn't familiar with the word, and I looked it up, but it comes from the word Manny. It actually comes from the prophet Manny. That's where the word Manikin comes in our vocabulary. And so this was, and I don't know the exact dates, but it was after the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. Manny, that was in the area of the Middle East. That's where he was from. And he had great revelations. And so he was a very holy and sacred man. And so he was like continuing the message of the Christ. And what he did in such a way where he went to, different cultures around that area, and he integrated and say, hey, what you're saying, and if you're coming from a place of love, okay, that's okay. You could keep your tradition. You don't have to, you could do what you do, but let's all bring it together with the understanding that we're all one. And his goal is saying, hey, we are in a false construct. This world is not the real world. He was given the same message as Jesus the Christ and other avatars of light, Sarasta, and so many of them were saying there is a higher light world. This is not the world that we have to be in bondage to. And so he goes ahead, and he and his disciples, and they have certain ways as to how not to get caught into this world of illusion and delusion, things that you do to keep your vibration up and not sink down into the lower animal passions, and more importantly, not sink into the manipulations to keep you in darkness and not in light. So, they have a whole hierarchy as to how they do that. Like, the married couples and family had an important role. And then you had another group that was in the middle. Then you had the highest ones, that they would like say the high priest. Okay, they had a very disciplined thing to do. So these three tiers of community work together to lift the entire community, not to be drawn into the lower frequencies of hate and rage and murder and stealing and all of that stuff. It's like, how do you not get caught up in the drama, the earthly drama. And during this time too, I want to share with you that in Ethiopia, there were communities there where they like looked at Rome and they're like, oh my gosh, that is really the Sodom and Gomorrah. They're like, we don't want to be a part of that. And so they built, and I can't think of the name now, but it's very famous. It's in Ethiopia. They built a cathedral on top of a mountain. And in order to get to the mountain, you had to climb up the rocks. You had to climb up that mountain to get in there. So that's how serious they were. So the Gnostic Gospel really goes into like what Manny, and they're all a little bit different. You have the Valentes Gospel, you have the some other ones. I said it's the Pistis Sophia, which I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. Okay, but there's many different ones and different times, and they may have differences in them, but they all say basically the same thing. What they're saying is that this is not, this is, I should say, perhaps a polluted, this is a polluted or distorted, an inversion is an important name to say, an inversion of the true creator and creation as it should be. And something happened, not even in our level, but on much higher levels. There's other myriads, other worlds, other realities that are going on. And it's like we're connected to it. So I look at it, it's like we have a physical body, but we have a little toe. So let's just say that the little toe, okay, is our world, it's our creation, but you also have like the top of the head. Okay, and so the little toe, although connected to the whole body, may not be aware of what's going on, scratching the top of your head. Okay, but nonetheless, that scratching of the top of the head is doing certain things to the nerves, that's doing certain things to the body, that indirectly has some impact on that little toe, because everything is connected. So that's the best analogy I can give, is that we are part of a much higher body. And the Egyptians speak of this very, very clearly in their writings, that, we are just like this of a much bigger body of consciousness. So that's one of the messages of the Gnostic Gospels, said in many different ways from all around the world, by the way, all around the world. So they're all saying in the Eastern tradition and in the Western tradition, they're saying the same thing. In Shiva, Shiva says mantras and prayers that says, help us to become unbounded. How Shiva speaks of it is that we are on this vine, and really we're not like, we're connected to this maybe not perfect vine, and how we can disconnect ourselves from that and go into our full glory as to who we are. Now, one of the things that the Gnostic Gospels speak of, they talk about us, the human race. And what they're saying about the human race is that, first of all, you're not even created on this level. You're not even created on this level. You're in this level, but you weren't created in this level. In Kabbalah, what they call the Adam Kadmon, okay, is the divine human. And that divine human, which the Pistis Sophia Gospel goes a bit into, is coming from a very high aeon. It's like the throne worlds, the highest worlds. And that's where our creation comes from. Okay, our spark, we weren't not born in physical, or not created in physical bodies. That comes way later, way later. So we are in this spark. We're actually a spark. The Adam Kadmon, the children of Adam, you could say, originated as sparks somehow, and there's many different stories to it, but the basic thing is these sparks, okay, got ensnarled into some dynamic going on, okay, by the lesser the lesser consciousness, okay, the consciousness that as the emanations started coming from the higher worlds and you're not as close to it, somewhere there was a breakaway where the service to self came into play. Like, wait a minute, I know who I am, and I think I could be a god, just like God. I have some creative powers because I've been given the creative powers, and I'm going to use them. And they use them and like, oh, we could create. We like this, and no longer, being connected to divine will. And so as a result of that, there was like this disconnect. Somehow there's different stories as to how it happens. We get ensnarled into this as these human sparks, and we find ourselves now fallen from the frequency, what some people call a fallen world, whatever the filament was and so forth, that now disappears. And we find ourselves in this creation where it is, and we're not the only creation like this, but a creation that is fallen. It's not like where it was. We, the sparks, okay, come from there, but now we're in these physical body wraps that were created imperfectly, because there was this fall, and now you have these creator gods with a small g, that are doing a lot of the creation. So it's absolutely 100% imperfect. So they're also saying that these creator gods with a small g are the ones that like to be like, I want to be on top of the hill. This is my hill. It's not the mountain, but it's my hill. I'm in charge of the hill, and I want to keep things the way they are. And so it is all about service to self. And then it goes on to where, as time goes on, and Epistle Sylvia speaks very much about this, is that this disconnection is such to where even the memory, okay, that there was a disconnection, even the memory is like this world has become such an illusion that people born into the world don't even have a memory that there's anything beyond that. So there are people to this day, okay, that truly believe that once the body dies, that's it. There's nothing else. And I have to tell you, I did see, it was a documentary by this very brave young lady that does interviews of, people that are involved in the black market that are doing, just terrible things, where all your scams come from. And she travels all around the world. And she went to this one place, she was in Israel, and they had this big scam where it was investments. It was an investment scam. And the guy told her, and of course, they're covered, you can't see their face, but they interviewed with her. And I remember he was on this big yacht, whatever he had. And he said, well, in this world, you got to make whatever you got to make, because after that, it's finished. There's nothing else. So he was saying, it's okay to scam people, take their money, cause heartbreak, because in his mind, okay, once you're dead, you're dead. There's nothing else. Is he going to be in for a shock? Is he going to be in for a shock? So, but the illusion, the point is that the illusion is that thick. So you've had from time to time great avatars of light, and there is the story of the beginning where Sanat Kumara and the Kumaras, I think they were on planet Venus, and there is a relationship between Mars and Venus and our planet. And they were like, whoa, look at the earth, man. It's really dark. It's like, what happened? It really fell, and it's dark, and there should be the spark of light in there. So anyway, they were almost going to write it off and say, well, I don't know, we could even do it. And Sanat Kumara says, you know what? No. I'll go. I'll try to get the light in there. I'll try to do that. And then the 144,000 Kumaras said, we'll go with you. And the legend says it had to be done 3 times. Can you imagine? Because the forces, the top of the hill, I'm in charge, forget about, the higher ones up there. I can create, this is my world. I don't care if it's not perfect. And I don't care if, I'm creating these imperfect biological beings. Okay, even though they are the spark of light, and then causing using the animal bodies, the passions and so forth to keep us at war or somehow keep us with the illusion that we're separate from each other. So there's all this, kind of manipulation going on. But as the light started to come through, and thank goodness we do have the light, we'd still be eating each other. It was that dark. So the light has continued. It has sparked. It is growing. Your light workers are here from the past and the present and the future. We're all here remembering what we're here to do, raise the frequency of the planet, bring more light to the planet. And guess what? It is happening. It may have taken many, many lifetimes for it to happen. Many of us have been committed to do this. So we're here several lifetimes. Also, too, there's other things. It isn't just that we have this mission, and many of us have come to the planet because of a mission that we are to do something, and we have to recapitulate and remember who we are and why we're here. That may take a time. In the meanwhile, we are also learning in schoolhouse earth. Other it's not just one thing is going on, it's a multiple things are going on, but the core of what's going on for those who feel I have something to do and really feel it strongly. And I feel that I need to know more as to who I truly am. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What's going on in the world? When you have those passions, okay, then you have come here to do something. And that is as a light worker, as a star seed, as a wanderer, as those that have a strong connection to the soul pulse that says, complete your mission, do your mission. And that's why we are here. And in many circumstances, we are here against all odds. We're here in perhaps families that don't understand us or like what, or just a general population that says you're crazy, okay? Because sometimes we could sense and feel and know things that are different that other people can do. So we start developing these higher sensory perceptions. Just as Jesus the Christ said, as I can do, you can do more. And he did a lot. So it was sort of a reminder that we come from this much higher glorified. We hold the similitude and we hold the image of the divine. And that is what a lot of the world is trying to get you away of. Like, no, you don't have that. You are a God in yourself. And I will tell you that there are that scenario is being promoted out there. That's the whole idea with the Illuminati. They're like, there's no other God besides this one. You're a God. You're a God. Yeah, we're co-creators, that for sure. But they're saying, like, you are the God, and there's no other God. There's no higher God. There's like, you're it. And no, there isn't that. There is many, many, many higher. God with a capital G, not the small g. So the demigods that are out there, whether it's upon the earth or in other levels, are there to like keep the status quo. Well, I don't know how you're liking the status quo. Okay, the status quo, as I look at it, there's some beautiful things, of course, on the planet. And that's what's the light and beautiful in nature and so forth. But if you look at some of the status quo, okay, on the planet, that's not so good. Okay, with the suffering, and the wars and the injustices. And we could go on and on and on and on. The sickness and disease and all of that. That is not a good status quo. But there are powers that be that want to keep the status quo. So the Gnostic Gospels are saying, we know this, and we're gonna write, and we're going to write for posterity that others will know, what's going on. Okay, keep this somewhere that people know what's going on. So Manny was most certainly one of many who did this. Now, the Manikin religion, or the movement, I should say, was almost a one world religion. because one of the things is that he didn't command people to say, hey, if you kneel and do this, that's fine. If you bow, if you sing, if you, however you do it, it is in glory for the El Elyon, the King of Kings, the God of God, the source of source, the capital G, not the little g. And one of the things that one of the disciples, I wanted to tell you that Manny wrote, the disciples said, they will try to destroy this writing. They will try to lose it. Because what happened, of course, Manny now is like depending on who was in charge. So you had like some new management, the new sheik or the new king or whoever. It's like, hey, I'm king. What were you guys doing? Get rid of that guy. And of course, they killed Manny. They did everything they could do to kill the movement. They did. Just little remnants of it is left, like in this book. But the thing was that one of his disciples said they will try to stamp out this knowledge. And he predicted it. He said they will try to do it. They will try to hide it. They will try to destroy it. He said, but the family, he didn't say family of light, but the faithful, it will come back to the faithful. The information will come back to the faithful. And lo and behold, we have fragments of it, but this disciple was right. He said they will try to stamp it out, but it's going to come back. It could be the same ones that are reincarnated to bring it back again. Who knows how that will work out? But yes, that's exactly where we are right now. So the other thing about the Gnostic Gospels was saying this. Gnostic meaning wisdom or knowing, a knowing. And basically it's saying that, yeah, there you come in and you can get some information from people and, about, the religious path and who you are, but really it's going to be your own knowing that's going to be the guiding factor. So they were saying, you don't really have to go through, say, a priest or, a minister or, a pope or a imam. They could say that, yes, they can give information and, share information that you could utilize, but you don't have to go through them to get to God. You could go direct. That's the whole thrust of the Gnostic Gospels, is that we hold the similitude of the divine and we can go direct and not have to go through somebody. Now, we can work together as the family of light, come together as the family of light, okay? But we have gnosis. We have our sense. We begin now to use our own intuition. We begin to use our own inner knowing, okay? We are no longer controlled, okay, by a certain thing that has to be, or this doesn't happen. We're no longer controlled by fear, okay? We can now have, we have within us the ability to have a direct communication, a direct knowingness of the divine within us, because we are hold the similitude. And it does talk about the fact that we do hold the similitude of the divine, that we are made in the image of the divine, not in how we look in the physical body. It is in the spirit how we are, and how to get back to that spirit and out of this quagmire we are in. Now, there are those of us, okay, we look at the world, and there's some people that, this is the quagmire. They're just like, they live this, I hope there's a heaven, and they die. And, I guess it's good to be good, but in the meanwhile, I'm really going to fall into all those animal passions and, do what I want to do, and greed and lust and all of that stuff, right? But then you have those, who are light workers who fell into that and finally got out of it and say, oh, okay, now I understand, okay? And, when we pray, we pray for God, forgiveness for known and unknown. There's a lot of unknown we don't know. that in frequency or consciousness, it was a lower vibration until later on. We're like, okay, but that's why there's a forgiving. Forgiveness is throughout the Gnostic Gospels, that there is a forgiving God, because there's a knowing of what's going on in our situation. And so the goal is to get us on that path of righteousness, get us on the path of spirit. Okay, get us on the path where not only do we lift ourselves out of the world of Maya, the world of illusion, okay, the world of control, but we also lift others out. It's not just us. We're bringing everybody along, okay, and not just the human kingdom. Of course, we got to focus on that human kingdom. Their consciousness is what's messing up a lot of the world, okay, but all the other life as well. And who we're serving? We're serving our Earth Mother, this beautiful living being, okay, that has given so much and has been so abused, okay, that we as the children of the earth, okay, and the children of life are here to lift the vibrations up in the way that we can do it. So I would, there's many different stories, and a lot of it with the Gnostic Gospels, what you'll find, it'll like supplement like the Gospels, for example, the Western Gospels, the traditional Gospels, like the Gospels of, the St. James Bible, for example, that there's certain things in it that you just don't understand because it doesn't make sense. You find that when you read the Gnostic Gospel, it has like that other part, and then you can start to put things together. You can start to put things together. So I'm going to do another class. I did it before, but I'm going to do a class. It's called What's Really Going on Planet Earth? Like, what's the story? How are things the way they are? The information does come from many of the Gnostic Gospels. It tells the story of what happened and where we are and what we can do. So for people saying, how did things get the way that they got the way? The Gnostic Gospels have many of them. Many of them refer to us as the firstborn. Okay, there's many words that when we read it, we will relate to what it says and has just profound wisdom in them. So this is just a little introductory. Again, it'll be gnosis.com. www.gnosis.com, and you can start to read up on it, get yourself familiar with it, and then this, for convenience, there's going to be a lot of them that are on YouTube that you could just listen to, which is what I did for a lot of it. There is also a station that I listen to. Yes, that's it. There's also one that I listen to called Aeon Byte. So, it's AEON Byte, BYTE, if you Google it. And it's a podcast. It's a gentleman that does this, and he has different guests. He has mostly like your people who have studied like professor level, PhD level, studying and translating a lot of these Gnostic Gospels, and they talk about it. And I get a lot of information on there too. So it's called Aeon Byte, AEON BYTE. You could get a lot of information there. I would say that the Gnostic Gospels gives a broader view and understanding of what our ancestors wanted to leave for us to remember who we are. And just as the avatars of light has come in, many have come from time to time and saying, hey, the way out of this is this way. Manny, you could look at Manny too. I love Manny. He really was tremendous in giving almost, where there was a unity of consciousness among all people. He was almost there, but guess who stopped him? What else is new? All I could say, Look what they did to Jesus. Look what they did to avatars of light. So is that force there trying to stamp out the light and keep things the way they are? You better believe there is, yes. But is there something that we're here to do to get out of that now? Because the cycle of times has come to say no more. Yes, we are in those times. So as you become familiar with the Gnostic Gospels, I do like the Pistis Sophia. If you can get a study group, that's always easier to do. We probably will have the Pistis Sophia study group again at some point, but perhaps you really may want to get into the Keys of Enoch, key 405. As I said, we will be doing that. Please look on our website. We'll also on our Facebook page, we'll, excuse me, we will be promoting it. Okay, so that's it for now. I'd like to close with a prayer. And when we do, when we get together and do this, when you do have the chance, do go to the Gnostic Gospels and just become familiar with some of them. You could read some on your own. There's so many of them, but you will see that the overriding one is that. Let's close with a name of God. I'm going to share my screen again. And then after we do that, if you have any questions, I could take questions afterwards. Let's end with this. I would like to do Michaelilu, Metatron, and Melchizedek. I'm going to tell you why. So a couple of nights ago, and this is just before our event with Hertax, I did have a dream experience, and the dream experience was like a negative one. It was like, we know who you are, and we're going to come after you, basically is what it said. But in my dream experience, I'm like, ha ha ha, oh yeah, well, I know Kadosh, I don't know Sabayoth. I said, I know the names of God, so I have no fear whatsoever. But what happened as I was driving, but because I was aware of that, I did have a dream, was a bit of a forewarning. I wanted to say some powerful names of God, for protection. And so it was Michaelilu, Metatron, and Melchizedek. Michaelilu is the ancient name for Michael, Archangel Michael or Saint Michael. It is in the Elba text, one of the oldest texts. Good to read this very ancient stuff, because some of it has the pure undulated form of what was trying to be expressed at the time. So let us all say Michaelilu, Metatron, Melchizedek. We're going to end with Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sabaoth, and then we'll say to remember together. Michaelilu, Metatron, Melchizedek. Michaelilu, Metatron, Melchizedek. Michaelilu, Metatron, Melchizedek. Michaelilu, Metatron, Melchizedek. Metatron, Michaelilu, Melchizedek. Michaelilu, Metatron, 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 Melchizedek. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sabaoth. 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 We remember we are spiritual beings of light, one with the source of all creation. We remember all is one. We remember we are creators and part of a divine creative plan. We remember we are here in physical expression as guardians and stewards to earth, and we work in collaboration with other spiritual beings of light from various streams of consciousness. We work together, bounded by love, to liberate Earth Mother, to take her place as a world of peace. We walk the path of love and light. Amen, 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 and amen. Okay, that has concluded our service. If you have any questions, just either type them in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I can allow you to speak. Any questions about what I spoke about? Okay. If there are no questions, then I'll just remind you that if you go to www.ccosl.com, that is the center's website. We appreciate all your donations, your energetic exchanges. That's how we continue to do the work that we do to touch the minds and hearts of people around the world as a directive of the Ascended Masters. So we appreciate that. Thank you to all of you that do give. We appreciate it. We know who you are. God bless you. You know, for we're all here together as the tribe of light, making a difference in the world. And let me see. This is Nanika Alays, Alays. I'm not sure what you mean, Nanika. Oh, thanks for the service today. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Nanika. Thank you all for being here. You know how this all happens is when we come together as Tribe of Light. And do check out the gnosis.org. You'll get a lot of information. I'm going to probably do, as I said, I'm not sure when, but I'll be sure to let you know. I'm going to do a workshop on what's really going on planet Earth and give some of the history behind it as to the Gnostic Gospels, what they have to say, and from other sources as well. Again, we thank you for your support, and you have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. For those of you that come to the anchoring light, you know, the anchoring light will be tomorrow at 6:45. You can find that on our website, also on Facebook. Joanne, you're welcome, and God bless everybody. Namaste.